To tell the truth, this isn't a game I expected to review. I've pressed play in Steam for Tanzia 2 times before this week, and both times I quit about an hour in. But after 2 years in early access, it's finally being released. This comes after a huge rework of animations, combat, gems, and spells, so I really wanted to give it a serious go. Well, that sounds good enough, but what is it? Okay, yeah. Tanzia is a single player RPG that relies heavily on story to keep the player engaged. The combat is a lot like Kingdoms of Amalur or World of Warcraft. It definitely makes me feel some old feels since I used to be a huge Warcraft player in college. The similarities are numerous: quests, patrolling mobs, random side quests, grinding and crafting potions. You even have to purchase new spells to learn them. Really, the only thing missing is question marks over the quest giver's head, although I don't miss that. Tanzia does a great job of explaining what you need to do next with comic book style cutscenes. These visions give you a little indication as to what's to come, but you can also rely on your map for most of them. If you really want to get all the quests, you'll actually have to talk to people. What do you know? Anyway, you'll be doing a lot of quests alongside the main quest to level up and become stronger. There are collection and killing quests, but also some new types which I appreciate, although generally they all boil down to killing enemies. The one I liked was about killing enemies on top of a certain place in the world, then reading a spell. The quests have you going around the small world of Tanzia, along with a few other islands. And of course, combat goes along with that too. It's a slow, real-time system where you have to wait for spell cooldowns. While you wait, you'll be swinging your staff. This is going to be where most players decide if they want to play Tanzia. At this point, I find this style of combat rather slow and boring. I kited a lot of the enemies for a long time while waiting for the spell I wanted to use to come off cooldown, the most powerful single shot I had. I also took advantage of line of sight and pathing to keep the enemies off me, so it requires a lot of waiting. Even more if you don't get any critical strikes, which can really swing a fight to your favor quite a bit. Then, since there's no health and mana regen, I either had to run back to a healing totem or use potions. This is a bigger problem for me personally, since I'm one of those players that likes to wait to use their potion. You never know, I might need it on the final boss battle. I really wish I could get over that. So if you're down to drink potions all the time, then the game will be much easier. Also, you're given plenty of materials to make the potion or gold to buy them, so I was just being dumb. There's also 4 different pieces of equipment you can get: staff, head, body, and feet. All pretty basic upgrades, and they do make a big difference. Tanzia also has gems that you can socket inside the staff to augment your character with more health or loot drops. It's a pretty basic system. The potion making is also basic. Collect the materials around the world, and at a workbench, you can just make the potion. But the game's main focus is the story. It takes about 5 hours to complete if you're working on the main quest line almost the entire time. That's what I did. The story is simple, though, with no real surprises. However, not every story needs to have an epic twist behind it to be good. Sometimes it's nice to have something really down the middle of the plate and wholesome. Although if someone described it to me as uninteresting, I'm not sure I would be able to convince them otherwise. That's not what I found. I liked it enough, but to try and convince someone otherwise if they already had their mindset would be an impossibility. There's really no controversy about the story. Anyway, even though Tanzia delivers the story quickly, it still falls into the same trap as many other games with side quests. You know what I mean? Where there's impending doom, that's an emergency, but, could you take some time to take care of these turtles for me? I'll give you some cash. Well, I don't really want the cash. I'm trying to save the world here, guys. Tanzia knows it's doing this. It calls it some of them literally chores. but I'm not sure that makes it any better. I was still doing the quests and I had to let out a heavy sigh every time. I have to mention a weird mechanic that stuck out, but probably because of my previous World of Warcraft experience. Enemies will not stop chasing you once you've attacked them. You can get really far away, but until you leave the zone, they will continue chasing you. It can lead to some pretty funny situations where I had an entire area of enemies following me. It was a crazy train mob of spiders, so I just popped over to the next area real quick and they were gone. It wasn't actually a big deal. You can get out of some tricky situations like that. For some good news though, they fixed another issue I had written in here where you could lose all your quest progression if you left the zone or died after saving. So if you had previously played Tanzia and were annoyed as I was, then you don't have to worry now. When it shows that it's saving, it's actually saving the game. It was very misleading before. On a previous build of the game, it really screwed me when I was down to the last item of a quest, and that was terrible. Although this makes the game a lot easier, so be careful of that. Overall, Tanzia is fine. I'm glad they polished it up a bit before the final release because it really shows. I'm also glad that they added in turbo mode for someone like me that doesn't like to go slow. While I don't really enjoy this style of combat, I think others will enjoy Tanzia. So consider it if you don't mind this type of combat, you're really into RPG stuff, you can handle you want a wholesome story, stuff like that. Hey, thanks for watching this review. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more indie game content.